Ryan, move your hands faster. Your dad will be home soon and the food is not ready yet. My mother snapped at me for the fourth time in an hour. I grated my teeth, my patience wearing thin. I bit my tongue hard to control the sarcastic remark that almost reached the edge of my mouth, threatening to spell out, because I knew one word from me and we might end up arguing. Instead, I redirected my anger onto the poor veggies I was chopping, or rather, murdering. I was in the kitchen doing my least favorite, or should I say, the most hated chore, cooking. How ironic that earlier I used to love spending time in the kitchen, trying new recipes, mastering the old ones. The love turned into hate when the hobby turned into a chore, and I was forced to do it just because of my gender. You are a woman. What would you feed your husband if you don't learn how to cook? I remember the exact words my mother said to me the day I refused to help her cook food. Needless to say, I was later forced to do so, or else my supposed future husband would die of hunger. Over time, I began hating everything that was imposed on me because of my gender. You are a girl, laugh politely. Sit properly, you are a girl. Don't interrupt. What do you even know about finance and investment? You are just a girl. Change your attitude, your husband would leave you if you talk to him in such a manner. And the list was endless. I had lost count of number of times my opinion was discarded, or I wasn't even given a chance to speak just because I'm a woman. Ryan, what are you doing? Don't you know how to dice onions? How are you going to handle a house if you... And that's when my patience snapped. I threw the knife and turned to glare at my mother. I am not a housekeeper, for God's sake. I snapped, my voice coming sharper than the knife I was holding moments ago. An onion doesn't define my worth, Mom. Stop nitpicking for every little thing. That's no way to talk to your mother. Have you forgotten your manners? I rolled my eyes, looking away to glare at a distance. There went another lecture about how bad a daughter I was and how much of a victim mother she was. You know what? I spoke, yanking the apron off my body. Do it yourself. I'm done. I ain't stepping into the kitchen ever again. I flung off the apron on the counter and spun on my heels, stomping towards the door. Hey, where are you going, Ryan? Come back, your husband. My husband can die for all I care. I hissed, pausing for a moment to look back at her. My mother gasped in horror as if I had sinned. I don't want to be a babysitter to anyone, especially not to a grown-ass man. I bolted, without sparing a glance back, pressing my hands on my ears. I could hear her calling my name, screaming for me to come back, but I was stubborn and wouldn't easily give in. Pushing the door to my room open, I stepped inside and locked it, creating a wall between the outside wall and my little sanctuary. My family was conservative, orthodox and hopeless, especially my father. They were too deep in this puddle that to them, the outside world felt unreal and filthy. Ever since I was born, I was expected to live according to an imaginary rule book. The rules, unexpected and countless, and sometimes unbelievable. The first and prime rule was to do what my father said. No questions, no doubts, just blind obedience. I had always lived by their choices. I didn't dare to question. I was so scared of even speaking in front of my father, and I thought it was normal until I saw my friend hugging her father at the school entrance. I was barely 10 at the time, but that memory tugged at my heart. I remembered how innocently I had asked her that day. You hug your dad, Nina? Yes, I love my papa. He's the best. She had replied. Aren't you scared of him? Nina thought it was dumb of me to ask that because she laughed at me. Why would I be scared of him, silly? He's my papa. He loves me. And that day, at that moment, I realized that not everyone had a strict army general for a father who behaved like he was training some cadets. Some fathers were like Nina's papa, kind and loving. Some children didn't have to constantly walk on eggshells to earn some love. I sighed at the blurred memory and dropped myself on the mattress facing the ceiling above. I could hear my mother acting up in the kitchen, keeping the dishes with more force than necessary, and the never-ending murmuring of how ungrateful I was and how I would realize her worth when she would die. I wish I had a normal family, a family full of love, care, and affection. I whispered to myself like a secret that was supposed to be kept buried, a family that doesn't make me feel like I need to earn their love. A sad smile curved on my lips when my gaze fell on the portrait on the nightstand. My brother and I stood beside each other, arms slinging over each other's shoulder, and a sad eating grin on our faces. Why did you leave me alone here, brother? You should have taken me along with you. I let my fingers trace the smooth glass of the frame. My fingers lingered a little longer on my brother, as if to feel his protective warmth through it. I was sad he left me alone, but I was happy he fought for his dreams and left to fulfill them on his own. At least one of us dared to stand up in front of our father. Though he was asked never to step into the house, he still went ahead with determination. My father had asked us to cut ties with him. Of course, his ego was wounded because someone, his own son, had dared to defy him. Nobody from my family will contact that boy again. I don't need ungrateful children. And that was the fourth rule I broke. I was still in contact with my brother and would always be. The other three rules. A soft knock on the door interrupted my thoughts. I rolled my eyes, knowing it was none other than my mother, and buried my face in the pillows. Wine, come out and help me set the table. Your dad is home. My mother spoke from the other side of the door. Her voice had dropped a little low, given that my father had returned. Now we all were supposed to act civil. Wine has slept. She will not wake up till tomorrow, I replied, pulling a pillow over my face as if it could help me shield myself from the abnormal family I was born into. An overly strict father who considered himself the king of the house. A mother who was either panicking about my future husband's future or agreeing with my father's bullshit the other times. A silent, unbothered grandmother who was just another antique piece. A brother who had escaped from here. And then there was I, dealing with all of them and somehow still surviving. When are you coming or shall I call your father? I groaned, throwing glares at the closed door. This woman and her bad habit of blackmailing me. Now there was only one way to escape. I'm coming in 2 minutes, I replied a little louder. The knock stopped this time. I heard her footsteps fading in distance. Thank God. Time to escape now. Curling my hands on the straps of my bag, I slowly made my way towards the dining room. I took a glance to see my father and grandma already seated in their seats while my mother was serving them food. Typical patriarchal family. My father's eyes settled on me, sharp and cold. I looked down on instinct, heart having its own rock concert. My hands tightened around the bag. I was still scared of him. Where do you think you are going with this bag? His voice, as sharp as a knife, cut through the stillness of the room. I stiffened, my confidence crumbling under his piercing gaze. Oh, Dad, I have a project to complete with Nina. I'm heading to her place. Lie. It was a white lie. There was no project. Nina and I were in completely different departments. Silence. He didn't speak, but his scrutinizing eyes remained stuck on me. My heart drummed against my ribcage as I fidgeted with the straps of my bag, digging my nails into it in nervousness. I'll drop you, he announced. My eyes widened in shock. I swallowed, breath caught in fear. No. I didn't want to breathe the same air as him in that closed space. A half an hour ride alone with him, it would spike my blood pressure. No, there's no need. Nina is dropping by. I'll go with her. It took a lot of courage for me to speak without stuttering or flinching, especially when his eyes were boring holes through my skull. There was no reply from him. Hush. One down, one more to go. I turned to my mother, giving a tight smile. Mom, I'll stay the night at her place. The project is big. It will take time. She glared at me, but thankfully didn't say anything. Of course, she was angry that I was deliberately ruining the future of a household I would be wedded into. From the corner of my eye, I noticed Grandma smirking at me. She knew. The unbothered queen wasn't as nonchalant as she pretended to be. She had a big box of secrets, especially mine, and I knew she would keep them safe. She was even secretly sending money to my brother. A queen indeed. Why, dear, could you bring some croissants for me? The ones Nina baked last time. I like them a lot. She spoke with an exaggerated smile. I narrowed my eyes, grasping the hands behind her words. I nodded. I walked out of my house, my steps fast and excited. Nina was already waiting outside in her car. She flashed me a big smile as I approached her. Be quick, baby, we are getting late for the project. Shut up, Nina, I hissed, hopping onto the passenger seat. She snickered, eyes glinting with mischief. I made myself comfortable as Nina started driving towards her house. On days when my head seemed to burst out from the nagging of my mother and being the obedient puppet of my father, I sought escape at Nina's house. Good girl gone bad, huh? Nina teased, quirking an eyebrow. You know when they say strict parents raise great liars? They are right. I smirked, meeting Nina's eyes, and we both burst into laughter. I wasn't a liar from the beginning. I obeyed everything silently. But when their expectations became suffocating, I weaved a few lies to keep my sanity. And the top three lies were for the top three strict rules I was supposed to follow. Pursue the career I decided for you. He wanted me to pursue engineering, but I wanted to study literature. I begged, I cried, but he didn't waver. He got me enrolled in an engineering college, but I secretly switched to what I had always dreamed about. I had been studying literature for 2 years under his nose, and he was still unaware. Never be a part of any party because parties are for spoiled kids. Girls of good families do not do such things. Nina and I had been to many parties to dress up in a pretty outfit and dance your heart out. It was fun. I deserved to have some fun, right? The last one was the strictest. Never involved with a boy. This is something parents decide for kids. I shamelessly, confidently, and courageously broke this rule. I fell in love and I didn't regret it. It was the most beautiful feeling. Being in love was only when I felt the happiest. With him tucked tightly in his arms, I always felt the worry of the world dissolving, leaving behind peace and tranquility. Thinking about my brother? Nina asked, giving a pause to my never ending thoughts. I hummed, looking outside the window, watching the city lights blur past as her house approached nearer. He was missing you. Glad you decided to come, or else he had already made a plan to jump off the wall of your house and climb up to your balcony. Nina snickered. My cheeks heated up, a swarm of butterflies fluttering in my stomach. You are blushing, Ryan. How cute. I groaned, hiding my flushed face in my palms. Her laughter filled the car, making me redder. I loved being in love. The moment Ryan stepped into the house, she expected to be engulfed in her boyfriend's arms. But her smile slowly vanished, a pout forming on her lips when she didn't find him anywhere. He is in the kitchen, she said as if she read through her spiraling doubts. Ryan didn't wait for her to finish as she was already hopping towards the kitchen with long steps. She crashed against his back, arms snaking around his torso. A sigh escaped her lips when his musky, manly cologne filled her nostrils. Her head rested against the plane of his back, eyes fluttering shut. What are you doing here? She asked, nestling more into his warmth. Jungkook's large palm enveloped hers as he craned his neck to look at her over his shoulder. I heard my pretty girl skip dinner, he murmured, smiling softly. I'm cooking a nice meal for her. Can't let her starve, you know. She giggled shyly, stepping back a little. Jungkook's hand reached for her wrist. With a smooth tug, he trapped her between the counter and himself. She gasped softly when his arms wound their way around her waist and yanked her flush against his chest. Hi, he whispered, his warm breath fanning against her cheeks. Blood rushed upwards to her neck and face, her palms curling around his shirt, grounding herself in the warmth of his presence. Hey, she whispered back, tucking a stray strand of hair behind her ear. Jungkook's laugh heightened her shyness. She buried her face in his chest to avoid his teasing stare that seemed to send a jolt through her spine. What happened? Did you again argue with your mother? She sighed heavily as the evening events flooded back into her mind. It was something new, but she still couldn't get used to it. The same lecture on sacrifices, duties, and her role as a woman always managed to irk her. It made her wonder why all the rules were reserved for only one gender. Why were only the women expected to just give and give, even when they ran empty? Nothing new. My future husband would starve to death if I didn't cook. She deadpanned, looking done with everything and anything in the world. Jungkook chuckled softly, pressing a kiss on top of her head. Tell my mother-in-law there's no need to worry. Her son-in-law knows how to cook. He won't starve, nor will he let his wife starve. He whispered teasingly, his lips brushing against the shell of her ear. She shuddered, her pulse quickening. For a moment he let her soak in his warmth before he pulled back entirely. His touch lingered for long, even after he stood at a distance from her. Take a seat, baby. Your favorite white sauce pasta is coming right away. She grinned, her mouth watering at the thought of warm, creamy pasta. She rose to her toes, pressed a peck on his cheek, and stormed off towards the dining table. Jungkook looked back, grinning mischievously. Will I get another one if I say I baked croissant for you? Maybe on lips this time? Shut up. She glared, but the redness on her cheeks gave her away. After having dinner and watching a movie where Wine and Nina had bickered a little about the movie characters, Wine was cocooned in Jungkook's bed. Her head lay on his chest, legs tangled with his, breathing slow as if she had found a place where she rightfully belonged. Jungkook's hand occasionally glided through her hair, while the other one was tucked beneath his head. The silence was loud but not uncomfortable. It was the kind of stillness which made everything make sense. Jungkook, would they ever accept it? Wine whispered cautiously, as if she was afraid to break the moment. His head still on her back, its warmth radiating through her top. He took a sharp intake of air, collecting his thoughts before he spoke, as quietly as the eerie hush of the night. I don't know, he breathed, blinking up at the ceiling. I don't know if they would ever accept our relationship or not, but he paused, looking down to meet her gaze. But I promise I'll always be there with you. Even if you would want to leave, I wouldn't buzz. I ain't leaving, not in this lifetime. She looked up, chin resting against his chest. And what if I have to make a choice? What if I don't choose you? Her voice cracked. Even speaking out about her doubts made her chest tighten. How would she face it if she ever found herself stuck in a situation like this? What if she ended up hurting Jungkook, the only man who truly loved her? What if they drifted apart one day? Was she able to accept and move forward with her life? Was she able to live without him, without the life which Jungkook wouldn't be a part of? Jungkook's hand shifted from her back to her cheek, rubbing soft circles on her cheekbone. Trust me, I won't let you go through it alone. You would find me beside you. In every situation, I'll stay. I'll fight even if it means fighting against your father. He brought his face closer. Their foreheads met, breath mingling to become one. Sometimes your love scares me. I fear I might not be able to love you the same way you do. She rasped, a silent understanding passing between them. If someday it becomes hard for you to carry the same amount of love as me, let me do it for you. The murmured voice steady but rough with emotions. I have enough love in my heart to make up for both of us. Trust me when I say this, I'll carry it to the end of the world. Vine's gaze softened. She drew closer, booping his nose with hers. You're the best thing ever happened to me. Feelings are mutual, my dear. Her lips tucked upward in a smile. She moved, brushing her mouth against his in a feather-light kiss, pulling back almost immediately. Hey, what was that? Come here. Jungkook's hand flew to grab her when she began to move away. She giggled, sliding away to escape, but the tangled sheets wrapped her on the bed. Before she could come out of it, Jungkook gripped her from behind and pulled her back to her previous spot. She laughed, giddy and breathless, as he gazed her underneath himself and tickled her sides. You escaped to come to me, baby. You can't escape from me, he said, pinning her arms beside her head. In one smooth motion, his lips collided with hers, knocking air straight out of her lungs. He didn't just kiss her, he claimed her, without hesitation, without any shame, and she gave in, willingly, as if surrendering in front of him was worth winning the entire world. You are looking so pretty, my mother said, beaming at my reflection in the mirror. I took a glance at my appearance. A dark blue full-sleeve dress hugged my body, clinging tightly at my thorax and flowing freely down my waist. I let my shoulder-length hair flow freely, covering the sliver of my exposed collarbones. The makeup was minimal, not too shallow, not too bold, just perfect. Mom, can I know what is so special today? I asked, unable to control my growing curiosity. Some special guests are visiting, she replied. It heightened my curiosity even more. What special guest? Do I know them? Don't tell me it's that weird auntie again. I stopped when I heard the door slam shut. My mother had left, leaving me confused and curious about those special guests. My heels clicked against the marble floor as I descended the stairs. I could hear the deep voice of my father, the soft laughter of my mother, and a few new voices, probably of those special guests. Please try these. Wine cooked all of this. I heard my mother speaking to someone as I neared the living room. Cooked? I hadn't stepped into the kitchen today. The only thing I cooked was a boy who deliberately spilled his coffee on my bag in the campus cafeteria. I threw my precious cold coffee on his clothes. Though I deeply mourned the sacrifice, it was worth it. I scanned the room once I stepped into it. My father sat on the single couch, my mother across from him. Beside them sat another older couple and a boy, probably a few years older than me. My grandma sat on her recliner across the room, least interested in the conversation, but I knew she was silently observing it all. There's a Ryan, my mother said, bringing all the eyes on me. I smiled awkwardly, feeling too self aware under their gaze. I fidgeted with my fingers, not knowing if I should just stand there, sit, or run back to my room. Someone please say something before I lose my sit. As if on cue, my mother signaled me to go to her. I exchanged polite smiles with the guest as I walked past him to sit beside my mother. Once I sank onto the couch, the conversation resumed. I sat there, hungry and bored. The snacks looked tempting. My stomach growled at the sight of food, but I couldn't just dig in. That would be rude of me. Oh, I already couldn't wait for them to leave, so I could eat all of that. Ryan, my mother hissed, bumping my shoulder rather strongly. I whimpered, rubbing my shoulder. What? I was ready to argue until I realized I was the center of attention once again. My eyes met my father's stern ones for a brief moment. What did I do? Can't a girl dream about food in peace now? Fine, dear. Kungsu is asking about education. My mother spoke through her grated teeth. I looked at the guy named Kungsu. Why would he want to know about my education? These guests weren't guesting properly. She's just tired, especially after she cooked all of this. She laughed it off as if she just didn't kill me with those blazing eyes. Why are you lying, Mom? I whispered, keeping my voice low so that only she could hear. She palmed my hands, squeezing them tightly in warning. The glare that followed was my cue to shut my mouth. So, Ryan, what are you pursuing? The guy asked again. I exchanged glances with my mother. I didn't know why, but something didn't feel right. I didn't know why I felt those people weren't just some guests. My parents were hiding something. Oh, I'm studying engineering. Yeah, engineering. I braced myself before I could spill my secret. Some secrets were better kept buried. My father shouldn't know about it. He nodded and whispered something to the woman sitting beside him, probably his mother. I shifted a little closer to my mother, my stomach coiling with anxiety. What is happening, mother? Who are they? She just gave me a blank look, refusing to erase the gnawing curiosity inside me. Fine, I wasn't interested in a mute cute either. I'd rather stare at the food, crave for it, and dream about my lovely boyfriend than indulge in any conversation with him. Not until. So let's do it. Let's keep the engagement 2 weeks later. My ears perked up. The one particular word, engagement, was ringing in my ears. Mom, what are you guys talking about? Whose engagement? I was squirming in my seat now, heart thudding in panic. Ryan, stay put. I'll tell you everything after the leave. She grated out, but I wasn't convinced. I didn't know why I was suddenly so restless. No, Mom, tell me now. I insisted. Ryan. No, I jolted up, breathing heavily, my fist clenched at my sides. The conversation paused immediately as their attention shifted to me. I wanna know now. Tell me, what engagement are you guys talking about? Who is getting engaged? I didn't care that I was making a scene in front of outsiders. I didn't care about the heated glare of my father. Nothing affected me at that moment. My mother was quick to scramble to her feet. I watched her share a look with my father before reaching out to grab my arm. Let's go to your room. We'll talk there. Had it been a different situation, I would have followed her without a word. But not today. I yanked my arm out of her grip, turning towards the supposed guest instead. Why are you guys here? Whose engagement, huh? Tell me. They are here to fix your and Kongsu's marriage. We have decided you both are getting engaged 2 weeks later. It was my father responding this time. His voice, stern and cold, always managed to send a shiver down my spine. But at that fleeting moment, fear had taken a back seat. And who decided that, huh? Why am I the last person to know about this when I should be the one deciding if I want that or not? I replied, or rather questioned my father for the first time in my life. To hell with being a good and obedient daughter. I would not let anyone dictate my life anymore. I decided that, and this is what you're gonna do. Now go back to your room. My father's deep, low voice sent chills through my body. I trembled, but I wasn't ready to back down. No, no, I won't. I won't marry. I want to study. I want to complete my education, get a job. You can't do this to me. At this point, I was hyperventilating, panicking, and panting like a mental patient having an episode. I shook my head continuously, barely standing still on my wobbly feet. My eyes stung with tears of anger. My throat felt constricted. My emotions were all over the place. I was thinking about everything, my education, my future, my boyfriend. Listen, you pisso or whatever your name is, I'm not going to marry you. Do not dare to think about it. I threatened the guy who cowered back on the couch. I knew it was wrong for me to blame him or his parents for that, but anything to keep me out of this trap of marriage. Why? I flinched, stumbling back as dread fell inside me. I lifted my eyes and immediately regretted watching the red-rimmed, angry eyes of my father. Go back to your room, now. I shivered badly, grasping the warning behind those words. The red marks on the back of my hands, the dark, scary corner of the storeroom, still haunted my nights. I hid my hands behind my back, shaking my head slowly as tears rolled down my cheeks. No. My breath came in short gasps as I turned and ran towards my room, the only place that had witnessed my tears, my nightmares, my whimpers of pain. I pushed open the door with a loud thud and stumbled towards the window. I rubbed my chest, took deep breaths to steady my breathing. My whole body was trembling like a leaf. The punishment still terrified me. I was 7 that time. I was so happy and excited that day because I was allowed to play outside with my friends. But I lost track of time. I didn't realize when the morning turned into late evening until my mother came to take. When we got back, my father didn't scold me. He didn't say a word, just signaled to me to extend my hands. One whip and the other, he hit me until the back of my hands were red. And if that wasn't enough, he locked me in the dark storage room at the end of the hallway. That's how you will learn to stay in line. That's what he said to a 7-year-old child before pushing her into the darkness she never recovered from. I was a kid back then, innocent and vulnerable, scared to spend another night in the dark storeroom. I never dared to defy his words. But this, the marriage, I wouldn't let him force me into it. The only way to get out of this mess was to complete my education and get a job. I wouldn't let him ruin this chance for me. He'd exploited my freedom, dictated my life as if I were a toy, calculated my steps at every moment. I didn't say a word. But now he wanted to hand over the leash to someone else, another man who would decide what I should do or how I should behave. No, 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 no. I wouldn't let this happen. I had to do something. I decided to break the generational cycle, not to be another victim of it. I can't be like my mother. I won't be a silent, obedient, spineless woman who will handle a household, pop out some kids, and say yes to everything my husband says. I wiped my tears, determined to fix my life. I turned to go downstairs, but my mother appeared. Do you even have an idea what you have done? Your father. I flung my hand in front of her, already fed up with her nonsense. Don't. If you are here to unravel another episode of your husband's sick encyclopedia, don't. I'm done. I was actually done with my father doing things according to his wishes, and my mother later justifying them with her life. He wants the best for you. Cut the bullshit, mom. He wants control on me. Heck, he loves to direct my life according to his wishes. I was burning with rage, and my mother's useless attempts to make it look like another Tuesday was irking me with wrong nerves. Oh, Daddy Dearest is angry? Let's let out on Ryan. Oh, Daddy Dearest thinks Ryan is making an excuse of stomachache to avoid school. The appendectomy that later happened was also an excuse, no? Oh, Daddy Dearest is tired of holding the leash for 21 years. Let's hand it over to another man. The control must remain now. I spoke calmly, but I felt the pain and suppressed anger behind every word. Sometimes I wondered how I managed to survive for that long, especially in a house where even your breathing rate was calculated and judged. Don't make your father angry, please. She pleaded, reaching out to touch my hand. I stepped back, avoiding her touch as if that burned me. I looked at her. Anger, disbelief, disappointment. I felt all the emotions seeping deep into my bones. What kind of mother are you, Mom? A mother is supposed to protect her children, right? But you always saw her suffering from a corner. I said the quiet pain, the silent suffering stung my heart. Are you blind, Mom? Can't you see what he is trying to do? You have already lost your son because of me, and now he's after your daughter. Yet you are turning a blind eye to everything. I was crying, full on sobbing by now. At that moment, all I wanted was my mother to support me. But she was still sticking to being a devoted wife. She stared at me a moment longer. I watched her find words to say something, but then she turned to walk out. Yeah, go. That's what you have always done. But tell your husband I won't marry anyone. If he dared to force me, I would do something he wouldn't appreciate. I yelled, following her till the door. She didn't turn, didn't stop, didn't respond, just walked away, turning her back to my tears once again. You guys are sick. I grated out, grabbing the nearby vase and throwing it on the floor. It scattered into thousands of pieces, just like my heart. I hate all of you. I hate this house. I hate everything. Why? I turned to see my grandma standing by the door. She flicked one glance at the mess on the floor and back to the mess standing between it. Your father is angry. He's determined to get you married to him. I won't marry him, Grandma. I paused when she stepped towards me with determined steps. Her hands flew to my shoulders, squeezing them softly. And if you gave in and got married to this horse-faced loser, I would disown you. I blinked, wrapping my head round her words before a sob escaped my lips as I let myself fall into her arms. Thank you, Grandma. Don't cry, I'm with you, okay? I felt her hands skimming through my hair, warm and comforting. I nuzzled more into her warmth, letting my tears soak her clothes. Once I felt like I wouldn't be able to cry more, I parted away. Her wrinkled soft hands wiped away the fragments of pain from my face. Run away, elope with that handsome guy. The idea looked tempting. I would get to live with my boyfriend, but I shook it off quickly. Bringing Jungkook into this mess would be the last thing I wanted to do. No, Grandma, I'll handle everything. Jungkook doesn't deserve to be a part of this chaos. He has already done enough by loving me. I can't ask for more. Even through the pain I was going through, his mere mention brought a smile to my face. I needed to do something to end it for once and all. 2 days had passed since that meet cute. Her father had locked her in her room, snatched her phone, cutting all the ties with the outside world. Her grandma had been fighting against him, but her efforts went in vain. The egoistic man wasn't ready to listen to anyone. Her mother, as usual, witnessing everything silently. But Vine was calm, too calm for someone who had been held hostage in her own house. Her calm insinuated the brewing storm inside her. Jungkook. His name rolled down her tongue like a prayer. Only if she could contact him anyhow, she knew he would come running to rescue her. Vine. The door opened with a thud. Her grandma stood on the other side, panting. Come, she barely said a coherent sentence, but she kept pointing downstairs. Vine rushed towards her, rubbing a hand along her back. What happened, Grandma? The handsome guy is here. She finally spoke after her breathing stabilized. Vine stared at her with wide eyes. Shock, relief, and happiness washed over her all at once. You mean Jungkook? How? She was already walking down the hallway, her grandma matching her steps. I snuck into your parents' room this afternoon, got my hands on your phone and called him. Her words made Vine pause in her tracks. She stared at the old woman, eyes brimming with tears. Oh, Grandma, I love you so much. The older woman smiled, patting her cheeks affectionately. And I'm so proud of you and your choice. That guy panicked when I told him about your situation. See, he's already here, standing face to face. Father, Vine trailed off, a sudden fear clutching her heart. Just then, the thundering voice of her father echoed through the house, intensifying her fear. Grandma, let's go before the situation gets out of our hands. She bolted, ran down the hallway towards the stairs. Her feet only paused at the top of stairs when her eyes found Jungkook. A slow smile curved on her lips, but it vanished as quickly when her father flung a punch at Jungkook's face. Jungkook, she yelled as if it were her receiving that blow. Stumbling down the stairs, she ran towards him. He smiled, opening his arms for her, forgetting about the punch the moment his eyes landed on her. As his warmth wrapped around her, the dam of tears was unleashed. She sobbed, burying her face in his chest. Don't cry, baby, please. I'm here now. I won't let anyone separate you from me. His words felt like a promise to her, to himself. But the moment didn't last long. She was forcefully dragged away from him. The tight grip of her father stung her arm, but the distance from Jungkook hurt more. Is this what you are doing behind my back, huh? He roared, shaking her by her arm. I gave you freedom and you used it against me? Holding around with a boy, have you lost every ounce of shame? She flinched, his ugly words cut sharper than a knife. How could he stoop so low, throwing dirty words at his own daughter? I love him and I don't think I did anything wrong by choosing him. She replied, her steady voice surprised even herself. Maybe it was because she felt safe in Jungkook's presence, or maybe because she had lost the last ounce of respect she had for her father. You shameless girl. His hand raised in the air and she shut her eyes tightly, expecting to feel a sting on her cheek, but it never came. When her eyes fluttered open, Jungkook was standing in front of her like a shield, his hand holding her father's hand mid-air. Think twice before hitting her. I swear I forgot you are related to someone dear to my heart. Jungkook's voice was cold, and so was his expression as he yanked his hand off. He swatted off the other hand, which was curled tightly around Ryan's arm. Talk to me. Ryan hid behind him, clutching his shirt from behind. She had never seen him angry, let alone see him turn into a ruthless man to protect her. She is my daughter. I can do whatever I want. You can't stop me. Ryan's father gritted out as if that would scare him away. But Jungkook was someone to cover. He was the one who brought people to their knees, not the other way around. No, you can't. You can't do whatever the hell you want, and understand. She is a human, not a toy. He snapped, holding the same aggression as the person before him. And what did you say? Daughter? Do you know she is your daughter? Have you ever treated her like one? Have you ever asked what she wants? Have you ever considered her happiness before imposing your views on her? I don't need to ask anyone. Does she know better than me? I have experienced life. I know better than her, who has never stepped out in the world. Ryan's father shamelessly belittled his own daughter. And whose fault is that? Did you let her go outside? Experience life as you said? Jungkook countered, rendering him silent, but not for long. I don't care. This, he switched his finger between Jungkook and Ryan. Won't happen. Not under my watch. It's against my morals and principles. Is it against your morals or a threat to the pseudo authority you have? He cut him off sharply, refusing to back down. Tell me, Mr. Man, why are you scared? Is it because you will lose the power you are so proud of, or because it wounds your big ego? For the first time in life, the woman of Min's household has seen him speechless. He had always had some ways or the other to mold things according to his wishes, but today, in front of Jungkook, he stood lost, tangled in his own web of power, reputation, and morals. Guess he wasn't as powerful as he pretended to be. What happened? Catcalled your tongue, Mr. Man, he mocked. I guess you aren't actually powerful. You just love to be in power in front of powerless people. You love to break those people who have nothing to hold on to, right? That being said, Ryan's father's eyes flicked to her mother, silently demanding her to speak on his behalf, like always. But he was left shocked when she shook her head and looked away. Maybe Jungkook was right. His authority was nothing but the shallow reputation the woman of the house had been feeding him. Every time they looked down, stepped back, or stayed silent, it gave him power to suppress them even more, to bend them until they broke. Watching everything slipping from his hand, he panicked, and his panic showed in front form of aggression. Ryan, go back to your room now. She flinched, her grip tightening on Jungkook's shirt. She won't. She'll go with me. No, I don't approve of your relationship with her. She'll break ties with you and marry the guy I have chosen for her. I didn't come here to seek your approval. I care least about what you think of us. I came here because the love of my life was distressed. I came. The three women watched the exchange between them, afraid that things were turning ugly. Jungkook, please, let's go, she whispered, her voice shaking with fear. Jungkook spared her a glance over his shoulder, his expression softening instantly. Yeah, baby, we are going. You don't have to be scared of anyone, alright? I'm here. He held her tightly in his arms, kissing on top of her head. He didn't care about the people witnessing them. He loved her, and that was all that mattered. Hugging her tightly to his chest, he made his way towards the door, ignoring other people, until when if you step out of this house with him, don't you dare to come back again. She halted in her tracks, a painful sound caught somewhere between a whimper and a sob escaping her lips. Choose one, us or the sky. And there Wan's knees gave up. She hunched, but Jungkook held her upright. She sobbed, burying her face in his chest. Wan, I want to let you know that no matter who you choose, you'll have me. I promise you would never walk alone. Do what your heart desires. At that moment, Wan realized just how different those two men were, the one she was born from and the one she was born for. One made her choose, the other chose her. One made her cry, the other wiped her tears. One made choices on her behalf, the other helped her find her voice. There was no second thought needed. Everything was transparent. Maya knew what she had to do. She turned, staring straight at her father's eyes. You know what, Dad? You did it again. For the first time, you gave me a choice, and yet you couldn't understand what I wanted. I guess you would never understand. She smiled sadly through her tears. A moment of silence followed before she took a deep breath and spoke. Then it's decided. I choose myself. I choose my happiness. I choose a man who chose to love me when loving myself was difficult. A thick tear trailed down her cheek. She never imagined she would have to do that, but he left her no choice. Jungkook's grip tightened around her as if to shield her from the pain and suffering, but inside him, something was crumbling slowly as he saw his girlfriend breaking. Though they weren't the ideal humans, they were still her family, and when your family doesn't choose you, it hurts. Then get out. There's no space for an ungrateful person like you in my house. Go and never show your face. Vine choked on her sobs. Her tearful gaze traveled from her mother to her grandma, who were crying as well. Maybe that was it. That was her time to break the cycle. The other two women chose to stay silent, or maybe they had never been given the chance to speak. She didn't know if it was life they chose for themselves or if it was forced upon them, but she had the chance to escape it and she would take it. She wouldn't be another woman like her mother or grandmother. She wouldn't be another mother who would teach her daughter that women are made to sacrifice. She wouldn't glorify the sufferings. There, she turned and walked out of the door. But before she could leave, she heard Jungkook speaking. Don't worry, Mr. Man. I have enough space in my house and my heart. You might never care about your daughter, but I love my girlfriend enough to not let her sleep with an empty stomach and with a heavy heart. Vine broke down completely as she stepped out. Her knees buckled, but before she could fall, Jungkook hoisted her in his arms. You don't need to cry for those people. They don't deserve your precious tears. He gently wiped the wetness from her cheeks, but the tears flowed non-stop. Don't cry, please. I swear on my life I would never put you in a situation like this. Never again. A broken sob rumbled deep from her heart when he pressed his lips on her forehead. She looked up, tracing her fingers on his swollen cheek, letting them linger on that small cut at the edge of his mouth. Why, Jungkook? Why do you love me when it's difficult for me to do it? Jungkook waited until her gaze shifted from his swollen jaw to his eyes. A smile tugged at his lips as he spoke, his voice tender, as if whispering a secret, because it's the easiest thing to do. At that moment, standing under the open sky after getting expelled from her house, she realized that out of all the choices she had ever made in her life, choosing him was the one she would never regret.